Alright, welcome back to the RMS Cup 2. We've got MbL here on the Hindustanis in the pink trunks up against Fat Dragon in the blue trunks. The enemy. I'll look at this map name quickly. Give me a sec. Pretty interesting, the berries all spawning around our players. They're on Quebrado de Cafayette in their game number 1 here. We're in the losers round 1. So I wonder if we're going to see a hard and fast game, or if we're going to see our players go all the way to the Imperial Age. So Vivi, Fat Dragon, picking the Franks, a great cavalry civ, cheap castles as well. So you can sort of play around feudal or castle or imperial, depending on what you're looking for. MbL, in the meanwhile. For whatever reason this is bugged. On Hindustanis, cheaper villages, so a nice boom civ. Strong camel riders. Nice infantry. I haven't really seen much Hindustani gameplay yet. So I'm eager to actually watch how this goes. So, quite a short rush distance on this map. It's not particularly open on the outskirts. There is gold. It's pretty hard to hold on to out here. So it's a contest to try and wall off your half of the map if you can, or just try and overwhelm your opponent. So, looks like Fat Dragon is going to start adding a bunch of palisade walls here. MbL's actually going fishing. He's got his mill on the water there. Gonna start shore fish gathering. I think it's a little bit faster than the berries actually. So Vivi's really keen to try and wall himself here and around the town centre, prevent any scout harass. With stronger cavalry, quite a favourable civ for trying to play really aggressively on in most matchups. So Vivi even going for a very defensive mill here, well, MbL, he doesn't give a fuck at the moment. Vivi's, really walled himself in away from any of that food. There's this rear gold to fall back to though. MbL could somehow potentially be cut off from this, considering he hasn't actually really walled himself in at all. MbL out in the barracks. Or Vivi, faster feudal age. Wonder if MbL's going to go for any infantry early on here. Perhaps not just yet. I'm forgetting that this is actually flipped. For whatever reason. Just a bug with the recordings. Stable's going down. And yeah, Vivi's already walled himself in completely. Taking no chances. Show no mercy. Single spearman being made so far as well for MbL. Just to help with the vision. Poking and prodding like harass him. And you can always lead against the enemy scout or against enemy spears themselves. Fat Dragon trying to make it a bit of a pain here for MbL with the lure. Not quite going to work out for Vivi. Sorry, I had the civs round the wrong way when I was talking about the Frank's bonuses there. So I got a bit confused because of this fucking bug. Anyway. It's interesting, Fat Dragon really walling himself in as the Franks to prevent Scout Cav harass, even though he's got the tankier Scout Cav. Cheaper villager cost going to be great. The eco for MbL has saved him a bit of resources to really play this sort of aggressively so far. So Fat Dragon's walled himself in preemptively, even though he is Franks, and in most other matchups he'd be the aggressor. So I take back what I said a couple of minutes ago about always being the aggressor. Range being added here for MbL. Vivi's being added. More Scout Cav of his own. And bearing in mind they are a little bit tankier for him, and he does have spears in it to support as well. Looks like MbL's starting to wall in his base. He houses in strategic locations. Now, Vivi trying to raid. MbL in the meanwhile. Sneak some units down towards the wood line here of Fat Dragons. Got some spears here to defend, so it's going to be hard to try and dive anything around the town centre. Or Vivi's forced to try and double wall here. House going to get focused down instead. MbL having added archers makes it a little bit more difficult for Fat Dragon to actually wall this in with the villagers. One of them getting extremely low there. And a 1 health, so nice unit control there. And awareness, keeping that one alive. He's going for double ranges himself. We have a big flurry of archers behind this. Another house being worked away at now. Tower being placed here defensively by Vivi. He still has those scouts. Lost his spears.
Hey.
Trying to get the vills of MbL behind this. We did have the 2 spears out on the map earlier. Oh no, he must have brought them home, sorry. So Vivi again being forced to try and wall himself in a bit more. Well, he's trying to get some value out of the raids. Scouts being forced to flee. There's plenty of defenders there. Oh, now MbL's through. He's cut a hole in the base. And Fat Dragon here. Pick off a villager or two. Fat Dragon's gone for it. He's going to try and deny the wood line here. Not going to be able to pick off any vills, I don't think, but really thin out MbL's defending forces at home. MbL just gunning it towards that wood line. Trying to avoid the tower, because Vivi can always garrison in it. Vivi trying to poke and prod at MbL, but he's gone. The castle age here. Oh, Vivi isn't on the way at all yet. Vivi trying to defend here. MbL trying to focus down these wood gatherers. The villager falling for MbL now. Ooh, another couple of vills. A bit of threat here, so Vivi's gonna pick them off with ease. Meanwhile, back at home, to evacuate all these wood gatherers because MbL's really denying the wood over that side. Camel riders out on the map. These guys will be able to clean up these scout calves for Vivi. So Fat Dragon, he's got to get his castle age here. MbL still also got the scout cav and the spears in his opponent's base. A couple of archers as well, but there's a huge archer ball there for Vivi. Now cav archer production starting. MbL, we're going to start harassing these gold gatherers. Picks off another villager as well. Might able to get another one. MbL now starting to creep ahead in the villager count. Vivi's trying to age up in the meanwhile. He's lost another couple of vills for his trouble. MbL's raiding force going to get picked off here, I think. Frontside gold mines being denied. The archers here for MbL stemming in. He's been cleaned up all the scout cav with his camel riders. We're just having to be a little bit careful here. This farmer actually being denied here. Last of the raiding units cleaned up now by Vivi, but it's looking a little bit dire because MbL will be into his base in a second. Crossbow upgrade finishing up against only archers there, so those guys are going to have to back up for the minute. MbL now trying to check that wood line again, but there's nothing there. So Vivi in the meanwhile is now just pushing out with these crossbows. See what damage you can do. So MbL's going to have to bring everything back. Actually take the fight. Well, these archers going to be able to reach the house builder there. Second town center down for MbL. Well, Vivi hasn't fit one in just yet. This could come back to haunt him. His crossbow is going to deal a good amount of damage. At the same time, now that everything's on top of them, Cav archers can outrun them. So the stop commanding isn't quite so solid against them. So there's camel riders working away at them. MbL going for a third town center now. That dragon just on the one for the moment. He's walled in this villager. I wonder if he can try and sneak her around somehow. Get some stone. He's probably going to want to add some town centers of his own. Otherwise he really risks falling behind in terms of eco size. Unless he can continually chip away at MbL's eco, who's now up to the 4 town centers. You know, he's really going to get dwarfed in terms of income. His villagers being picked off. I mean, sorry, these archers being picked off by the upgraded ones into the crossbow. And now, Fat Dragon can save this villager. Even try and wall off this side of the map, or try and get some of this stone so he can add a fuckload of town centers. So Hindustani player with their cheap TCs, I mean cheap villagers. It's going to save him a bit of food and really being able to boom quite hard, but even still, probably want to add at least a second town center maybe. Once you start dealing a bit of pressure, before your opponent can just castles down everywhere or go straight to Imperial. Siege workshop being added now by MbL. Straight back to work, trying to gather a bit of wood safely. Garrison everything into the town center that he can. Maybe sniping a couple of the farms because this is a bit of easy eco damage you can do safely here. Denying a bit more gold gathering as well, but there's a huge number of cav archers on the way into Vivi's base. He perhaps needed to have this walled up, or he's only going to lose the one villager. But now MbL deciding he's going to go for it. A bit more is going to be forced to garrison here. MbL going to have to be careful to not stick around under the town center fire, but at the same time trying to deal what damage he can, while Vivi going to snipe that mangonel, so that'd be great for him because those things are fucking expensive. MbL now through trying to deny the gold gathering. Just needs to clean up these crossbows. There's just enough to do so, so that dragon backing off for now, but he's got more in production, so potentially defend this quite easily actually. He's starting to really fall in terms of vill count, even though he is cleaning up a good number of vills. MbL is really booming up through this. A lot more production in the queue at the moment. You know, Vivi's really leading in terms of army size for the moment. Now, more villagers of Vivi's exposed. A couple of crossbows here, but they aren't going to be just enough to clean that up. It's through to MbL's base and harassing once again, but MbL has an amazing town center count here. 3, 4, 5 of them. He's really boomering. Vivi continuing to apply some great pressure at the moment though. Maybe he'll try to pick off one last villager if he can. The beauty of having this many town centers, not only can you replace the lost villages, and particularly with Hindustanis, not do it at a huge expense. You know, it gives them great garrison point and coverage. The knights can't really stick around beyond picking off what doesn't actually get garrisoned. Vivi really trying to encircle MbL now and punish him for not walling up, but add the 6th town center up here at the gold mine. Still mining stone from somewhere. So Fat Dragon going for a forward castle now. Vivi only in the, MbL only in the castle age, so he can't just add trebuchets to deal with Vivi's forward castle. Same time, MbL still up by about 30 vils at the moment. He's now got to really clean up that night raid. There is that manganelle in the mix though, so it could be quite testing MbL's composition right now. It's mostly the range. Still that one night left for Vivi, so he could potentially raid with it. Fat Dragon going for the push. He wants to bring second manganelle into the mix. And you'll have to be careful with his engagement here. Great crossbow count there, really outnumbering the ranged of MbL now. Vivi going for the push. Manganelle's going to make short work of the weaker buildings and all of these ranged units. Castle nearly finished off that town centre by now. Meanwhile, MbL secured a couple of relics, but it won't be long. Actually, sorry, no relics. It's garrisoned the monk. It won't be long before that monastery will be under a lot of threat because there's another forward castle here for Vivi. But at the same time, he's only got the 2 TCs back at home. MbL now through into his base with a good number of cavalry archers. Friendly fire there, I think. We must have missed that. But the players have to be very careful with their ecos right now because look at all that action. HCA is denying a lot of the farming there. Fat Dragons, while MbL has got a lot in his base at the moment. Knights denying his wood. He's got this forward castle and these manganelles just tearing down structures now. One of them trapped in that workshop for MbL. Is he going to be able to save it? The archer's not really able to find somewhere to work away at MbL's eco. The village is being picked off now. The tower is finished. MbL picking off the skirm now. Force a couple of villages into garrison. Picking off another couple more. MbL now up 38 vils over Vivi. So Vivi a little bit ahead in terms of score. And I think in terms of army size, it looks like he's got the aggression advantage, but economically he's still trailing a little bit. Mine a lot of stone so he can keep adding more and more of these forward castles and look at adding more town centers to close this vil gap behind this, because he is going to eventually want to put a TC on the gold mines. Vivi adding Knight Skirm and now starting to work away at that town centre of MbL, but he's got stacks of them at the moment. Afford to bleed a couple of villages as well. Particularly his Hindustanis with the cheaper villages, he can just not exactly throw them away, but 20% cheaper. Pretty reasonable. And this forward castle, forward town centre attempt being denied here. MbL streaming a mostly HCA army forward. Going for a forward town centre of his own. Village is not quite able to pick off that mangonel there. Using repairers and the mangonels to try and clean up as much of the base as MbL as possible. He's starting to add a couple of throwing axemen as well. MbL finding a bit of a gap to his opponent's base, but there's a lot of static defense there from the tower and the town centre. Not going to quite be able to push in just yet. Well, there's a lot going on at home for MbL with Vivi trying to go for a really bold forward castle. Does he have villages to get this off? He's got a good number of mangonels here, but it's a lot of cavalry archers there. Don't think this castle's going to get finished off by Vivi, and these mangonels are going to go down. Meanwhile, back in Vivi's base, another mangonel being picked off. Not quite able to pick off another villager, but he's inside. Another stables, past the castles. Town centre here for Fat Dragon, so he can go get some of this gold that MbL was gathering earlier. Now, MbL still up by about 45 villagers. He seems to be nice and secure back at home for the moment. It's be rough for Fat Dragon. Side of the map not walled off here. The town centre will make things a little bit difficult to engage into it. He's going to want to clean up all the skirmishes first. Vivi is still struggling to get over that 100 pop mark. MbL is just doing damage everywhere around his base he can. Down but not out. There is skirms to deny the cavalry archers, so it's not a very cost effective fight for MbL to take there. But like cavalry spam, these guys are going to be able to try and thin out that skirmisher count just as cost effectively. If you're going to have to deal some knights to back this up, you can start getting some gold gatherers in the mid map here at least, but looks like a watchtower from MbL might make it hard to gather from that second node. He's got another close watchtower down. Vivi having to try and defend with knights against the Lycavs and the last of the cavalry archers there. Now tower creeping going to really deny the gold gathering here. The Fat Dragon, it's going to be a little bit rough. Second tower going to die all the gold here as well. And neither of our players quite able to get to Imperial Age at the moment. Vivi having to go for a castle to try and defend the side of his base here. MbL very active on the map. He's even taking the castle fire, which is not all that great. But Vivi doesn't really seem to be applying any pressure to MbL at the moment. Guard tower a little bit greedy there, so it'll fall. Vivi having to distance gathering at stone there. I don't think he's got a mining camp to drop off to. No, he doesn't. MbL securing one of the side golds. That's been nice for him. Rough for Vivi. He's been running out of gold at home. He's pushed off the mid-map gold. Where the fuck does he gather gold from here? So Vivi an attempt at pushing with the Rams there. Cavalry archers of MbL finding these stone gatherers, so this would be rough for Vivi. Another guard tower going down to deny these other stone mines. MbL still making things a nightmare back at home for Vivi. At the moment, he's still trying to defend with that skirmish at night composition. Continuing to add more stables now. And he's pinched a bunch of farms off his opponent, like the villagers in town center range. He's stolen that farm off MbL. I thought I'd see a farm get stolen in a high level game. It's just AoE 4, AoE 2 things, sorry. MbL forces now cleaned up back of Fat Dragon's base, but now the wall falls. So it's going to be forced to garrison the vills once again. What does Vivi have to defend here? Not a lot actually. His military is in the single digits. He's trying to repatch this wall up, but the house is going to get taken down here. He's losing villagers left, right and center. Just outside of TC range here. Down by over 30 vills once again. Back at home for MbL. He's having to ward off these rams from Vivi, so it's nice of him to push with those. Villagers just getting inside tower. I'm going to say tower fire, but the castle, sorry. Pick them all off one by one quite easily. I've got to cut back MbL's villager count a little bit now. At the same time, other than the ram push, there's not really much going on out the map for Vivi, while MbL hard at work inside his base, forcing up more towers from his opponent. Comfortable wood gathering. Well, uncomfortable wood gathering is the nature of this map, I think. All resources just in the weirdest of places. MbL leading by about 40 villagers now. Got an armoured elephant in the field. Picked off by these villagers, but Vivi taps out. GG.